Hello, I'm Peter Baker. Now, over my long career, I've spent most of my working life behind a microphone, not just as a voiceover artist and voice actor, but also on radio shows, presenting and interviewing guests, reading the news for the BBC, hosting features on ITV here in the UK. Now, these days, it seems like everyone and their dog has a podcast. And that's a great thing. But please allow me to offer some guidance to help you really impress your listeners and keep them coming back for more. Now, I've created a full training course on setting up podcasts, covering recording, editing, distribution, and marketing, and you'll find the link on the screen now, voiceovermasterclass.com. But in this video, I'm sharing a greatest hits sampler, a quick guide I hope you'll find useful. Now, this video is split into two parts. First, we'll look at editorial tips, and then I'll cover technical advice at the end. Now, starting a podcast is a bit like starting a business. It's not a case of build it and they will come. No, you need a SWOT analysis, SWOT, to evaluate your podcast's potential. Strengths, what sets your podcast apart? Maybe you've got a well-known co-host or exclusive insights into your niche somehow. Also, you must research your competition in that niche. Listen to similar podcasts, identify gaps in their content that you could fill. Weaknesses. Are you limited in how often you can publish? Monthly content may struggle to build momentum compared to weekly episodes. Opportunities. Consider expansion ideas, building a brand, inviting international guests, collaborating with influencers, or attracting bigger sponsors. Threats. What could go wrong? Could technical issues, scheduling conflicts, or similar competing podcasts threaten your growth? And what about choosing presenters? Who will host the show? While some podcasts have 3 or more hosts, most successful formats have 2. So identify with natural chemistry and differing viewpoints. A bit of friendly friction can make for lively, engaging conversation that listeners love. Avoid the typical interviewer versus expert setup unless absolutely necessary. Ideally, both presenters should be knowledgeable, they should be passionate about the subject and contribute equally. Next, know your audience. So important this. You must always keep your target audience in mind when you're planning, when you're recording, and when you're editing. What would they generally already know? What would they want to learn? And offer content with clear takeaways, practical tips, new insights, or even entertaining stories they'll remember and tell their friends about who are interested in the same things. Try to keep things topical if you can, referencing current events, relevant research, or pop culture moments keeps your content fresh and much more shareable. Encourage listener interaction. You've got to do this. It's their podcast. Make it easy for them to reach you. Read their questions or feedback on the air, and this builds loyalty and creates a two-way relationship. Now, the structure of the whole podcast is really important here. People are used to structure. They want to know where it starts, where it's ending, and what's in it. Start with a short introduction, ideally voiced by someone other than the host, and set to music. This gives your podcast a polished professional feel. And then the host should briefly introduce themselves, only briefly, and then give a menu, outline what's coming up in the episode. A good trick to keep people listening is to tease an answer or insight that you'll reveal only at the end of the show. There's no need to mention how long the podcast is. Listeners can see that on their devices, but try to keep your episodes roughly the same length each time. Consistency builds habits. Now, if you're short on content for a particular episode, don't just push out just a 5 or 6 minute segment that week or whatever. Instead, use a pre-recorded evergreen feature, non-time dependent, like an interview or a book review relevant to your niche. Now, a bit of presenter practice. Now, before launching your podcast, you've got to record a few dry runs, and you've got to listen back critically. Just you and your co-presenter and your producer, if you have one, sit round the table, listen back as a listener. Do you say, or too often without realizing? Is the dynamic between you and the co-host or co-hosts balanced, or is it just chaotic noise when you're talking over each other? Do you mention your name clearly and consistently, or maybe not at all? ironing out these things in advance will make a big difference when you go live. Right, let's move on to technical tips. You don't need an expensive studio to record a good podcast. The content is king here, but you do need a quiet and acoustically controlled space. Avoid rooms like hard surfaces. It may seem a great idea to meet up in your kitchen or something, but kitchens have got all sort of hard surfaces. They reflect sound, they create echo. Awful place. A better option is a living room with soft furnishings, curtains, and seats facing each other, ideally. Always use microphone stands. Do not handhold mics because the sound will change all over the place. It'll pick up your hand noises on the mic. Now, if you must record around a table, cover it with a heavy blanket or two and use sturdy tabletop mic stands. And when choosing microphones, try to use matching models for all speakers. Don't mix a high-end studio microphone with a cheap lapel mic. It'll sound unbalanced and very unprofessional. So try and use the same mics and use pop filters or foam windshields to reduce plosives like the hard P and B sounds. And always monitor levels using headphones when recording. And by the way, some podcast microphones do have a pop filter kind of built into them, so you can get kind of close. And you don't need to break the bank with microphones. The Rode Podcaster from Australia and the smaller Rode Pod mic, they're both designed specifically for podcasting. They offer excellent quality at a reasonable price. Now, what if you have to clean up the audio in post-production, in editing? Well, if your audio has echo or background noise, don't panic. There are now some fantastic AI-powered tools that can very quickly clean up recordings with very impressive results. At the time of recording, Adobe offers a free, yes, free, you don't even have to subscribe to Adobe, a free tool called Speech Enhancer that boosts clarity beautifully. And the link for that's on screen now. For more advanced editing, Deverberate by Acon Digital is one of the very best plugins for removing echo reverberation. It integrates via the VST system in most audio software. Look, that's all from me for now. I've got a job to go to, but I hope you found these tips useful. And if you're serious about starting your own podcast and want to make it the very best you can, get maximum listeners, maximum sponsorship, and get up those charts, please do check out my comprehensive video-based course covering everything from podcast setup to marketing, available at voiceovermasterclass.com. That's voiceovermasterclass.com. Thanks for watching. Here's wishing you every success with your podcast journey.